and we can link in with Glenda if you have any specific issues or any of the speakers at all today.
Sure.
Right, you good?
So I'm really excited to be here. I was here yesterday as well for the Professionals Day, and I learned so much, and I've just learned so much from Lucy. I really enjoyed that, so thank you very much, and from Sorka. So yeah, listen, I'm an NHS dietitian. I work in Belfast. I work in the neuro unit there, so I see a range of progressive illnesses, one of which is Huntington's. Everybody in this room knows more than me, and I mean that with the greatest respect, so you guys know a lot more than me, so I'm happy to learn from you. I'm happy for you to agree, disagree, and for it to be quite interactive. You guys are all living with this. I work with lots of patients with Huntington's, but you guys will always have more knowledge and expertise. So yeah, let's just chat about it. So one thing I want to say is I really love what I do. I love seeing the impact that nutrition can have and the positive impact nutrition can have. And I enjoy going to doing my job, and I'm really delighted to be here as well. Part of my job as a dietitian is a little bit more unusual in that I work directly with feeding tubes. So I work within an extended role. So I place, remove and manage feeding tubes within my job as well. So I'm going to touch on that a little bit later on. And the other slightly more unusual part of my job is I'm heavily involved in leading advanced care planning in the unit. So I'm going to touch on that a little bit too. So yeah, we'll not worry about the plan for today. So you guys tell me, any challenges at the minute with eating and drinking nutrition? What things are you experiencing, or what are you wondering about? Just shout them out. Anybody? Nobody want to volunteer? Okay, so choking. Okay, yeah, so I'm going to touch on that. So that's a risk, and that's something that we're having to work around. Absolutely, yeah. The barriers that I see in the patients with Huntington's that I work with, overall, I would just say it's very complex. Okay, you're at times needing help to prepare meals, to plan the meals, to source the meals, as well as help with actual feeding. The dysphagia, so swallowing difficulties, which is what you were saying, sir, about choking, which can reduce your choice of food and fluids when you're trying to manage that risk, so that can be difficult. Communicating, and at times communicating your wants and needs might be challenging. And things like the involuntary movements and the impulsivity can cause challenges at meal times. And distractibility, so sometimes just focusing on eating and drinking is actually enough, but there's always distractions around us in our lives and at meal times as well. Some people with Huntington's prefer to eat on a more one-to-one. Other people like a more social environment, so that in itself can be a barrier to actually meeting nutritional needs. Weight loss is often talked about within the Huntington's disease, and weight loss, people sometimes don't understand, I suppose, why it's so important. When we lose weight, we lose muscle, we lose function, but it's also a sign that we're not meeting our nutritional needs. So when we're not getting enough in, our body uses the fat and the muscle to survive. So weight loss is a sign that nutrition is an issue or becoming an issue. And I should say that's if the weight loss is unintentional. If we're losing weight intentionally, that's obviously very different, okay? So that should be called unintentional weight loss. So if we're taking less in, the other challenge in Huntington's is your body is more metabolic. So your metabolism is higher than my metabolism, so you're burning more. So you've got less going in at times, and you've got more being put out. So that gap is what causes that weight loss and what causes nutrition to be compromised. And there's lots of different impacts on that as well. So why does it matter? So why does it matter if our nutrition is not being met, our nutritional needs are not being met? It affects everything. It affects our skin, it affects fatigue, and that's, for me, sometimes the biggest factor, is that fatigue as the day goes on, if you're not nourished, can really have an impact on your function and your quality of life. Muscle, obviously if we're losing muscle power, it's going to affect our physical ability, can also impact cognition, so can impact your thinking processes and can affect your concentration too. So I explain to people, our car won't go unless we put fuel in it. Our body cannot be optimized unless we nourish it. So to give ourselves the best quality of life, we need to nourish every single individual despite any diagnosis or background. And I think something that's not well enough focused on is hydration. So when we're dehydrated, it affects every function in our body. We can't concentrate, we become tireder, we'll get headaches, Obviously, our urine will become darker as well, so and there'll be a smell from the urine, which is a very clear way to show if we're dehydrated. We can get dizzy too, which can be an issue if we're thinking of our balance and we're thinking of our falls risk. It will show in our biochemistry. So that will not be obvious, obviously, until you're admitted to hospital, but we can see that in people's bloods. So I guess day to day, how do we know we're hydrated? So if we're drinking less than usual, so I like a water bottle. You'll see on my desk, I like a water bottle because I like to track kind of what I'm drinking and I like to know when I'm not having enough. So just having a water bottle that you're carrying around and you're keeping track of what you're drinking. If you're feeling thirsty, if your mouth is dry, like I said, urine colour and urine smell. And if we are getting headaches or our concentration is lower than normal, they're all signs that you should be drinking more and consciously drinking more. I see lots of people pouring water now, so it's great. So can everybody fill their water cups? Everybody fill their cups and take a drink. So, but actually days like this, it's harder. It is harder. So I keep one in my car. I have them everywhere. So just keep focusing on hydration. And you'll maybe be amazed at the impact that it can have. I drink about 3 litres. That's not entirely necessary. I just need a lot of fluid. So everybody's different. I meet some people and they're drinking 800 mils a day and they have no clinical signs of dehydration. And other people like me need a lot more. So it's very specific to you. So just take a wee note of what you're drinking and try to increase. So if we're thinking of nutrition, there is no special diet for Huntington's. Now that might be frustrating or that might be what you expected me to say. It is about meeting your nutritional needs in the way that is best suited to you, trying to incorporate all the food groups and trying to incorporate healthy eating principles. So the food plate, everybody seen this before, I'm sure, in their lifetimes? Okay, so I'm not going to bore you. You all know what food groups are, and we should be eating the rainbow, so we should be eating something from each food group. Fruit and veg is really important. Anybody know why? Yeah, vitamins, yeah. Anything else? Fibre, I think, was shouted out there, yeah. Anything else? So there's protective effects of fruit and veg that protects from different conditions, particularly cardiac conditions and cancers. So there's antioxidants in fruit and veg, which protects our blood vessels from diseases. So fruit and veg is paramount. It's a message, I think, which is still not really clear. Anybody know how many we're aiming for a day? Yoo-hoo, 5. Some evidence coming out, we should be aiming for 10. So the kind of learning there is make sure we're exceeding 5, okay? Now it doesn't mean eat 5 apples, doesn't mean eat 5 oranges, 5 different types. Can it be fresh, frozen? Yeah, tinned? Just get it in there, okay? Find different ways of incorporating that into our diet. Some people are laughing. Does that mean you're having none? Yeah. So actually, that's the reality. I meet lots and lots of people who are having none. Please start doing it. Okay. It also helps in bowel management. I think the fibre and the bowel management. There's also some obviously juice in there, so getting a little bit of hydration while we're drinking or while we're eating as well. Food is not just nutrition. Food is enjoyment. Food is social. Food is sensory. There's lots of different elements of eating and drinking. Nutrition is part of that, but it is not the only thing. So there's much to be enjoyed about food. There's much to be enjoyed about treats and eating out and nice food. So it should be enjoyable. It's just finding a way that the majority of our food is benefiting our body. So if we're thinking of if anybody is struggling with eating and drinking and struggling with maintaining their weight or is losing weight, we can put extra calories into food without needing other methods. So kind of thinking of like cheese and butter and honey and jam. We can add those 2 foods, which will fortify the foods, and we'll add extra calories in our daily meals. So that's some ideas there. I do have some written information on the stand, so come and see me after, and I can give you more detailed information as well. One tip I say is if you add milk powder to full cream milk, you can double the calories. Use that then in your soups and your cereals and your milky puddings. So if people with Huntington's are struggling with eating and drinking, sometimes we do use fortified drinks. Anybody familiar with any of these? Okay, yeah. So when I see somebody who needs these, my first question is what do you like? Do you like milk? Do you like juice? And trying to get a supplement drink that suits the needs of that person. But the second thing is, do you enjoy it? So can you actually take these? There's no point me prescribing 3 a day if you don't like them. So there's lots of different drinks out there. There's different reasons why we choose them. There's pre-thickened drinks if you're struggling with swallowing. So that slide is just to show you that if you're not enjoying the one you're on, go to your dietitian, go to your GP and try a different one, okay? Some of these supplements can provide an extra 600 calories for each drink. They can massively change what you're eating and drinking and benefit your nutrition. Sometimes I think their role is underplayed, but they really will help maintain your weight and can help with appetite as well. And again, I've other information there if anybody needs any information. So a few wee tips. So regular meals, and again, that's something which might be quite obvious, but the timing of those meals doesn't matter, but eating regularly to manage fatigue and to help maintain weight is really, really important. Drinking regularly, obviously, too. Snacks and supplements and nourishing drinks can help if you're struggling maintaining your weight. Taste can change, so that sounds a bit silly, but sometimes as adults we're not very good at trying new things. Try new things. Try a new dinner, try a new recipe, try a new meal. Try a different cooking method. I love the slow cooker because my life is busy. So I prep it in the morning and it's ready for when we come home after work and school. So just try different things. Sometimes we just get stuck in that kind of way of cooking, or go to a different cafe or a different restaurant, or, so just experiment. Keep experimenting with food. Eat the rainbow. Include all food groups. And we've talked about fluid already. If you are struggling from a swallowing point of view or worried about choking, speech and language can give advice about managing and modifying your food and fluids, and dietitians can help support your nutritional intake within the guidance that they give as well. So I think the only thing probably from that slide is that OT, occupational therapists, can provide adaptive cutlery, adaptive equipment to support eating if anybody is, again, having any difficulties. Liaise with OT, they've got lots of good utensils out there, which will help as well. There is companies which would deliver pre-made meals. Wiltshire Farm Foods is one of the known ones. There's Appetito. There's other companies, and they will deliver modified consistency, so level 4, 5 and level 6 meals as well. So that can be something helpful if the just home and preparing meals is a challenge. I couldn't remember what was next there, so that's helpful. So the next thing so any questions, sorry, so far? Okay, so kind of things that you knew already? Yeah, I don't have a magic wand, so I don't have this lovely kind of diet that's gonna massively be a game changer. It's back to healthy eating and the basic principles, okay? So I want to move on to, like I said earlier, part of my role in the unit is to normalise advanced care planning conversations. Has everybody heard advanced care planning? Nobody's really heard about it. So we all should be advanced care planning. We all should be planning for the future. Now that is regardless of Huntington's or any medical condition, we all should be planning that if something happened tomorrow and we lost our voice, what do we want people around us to know? What do we want our medical team to know? What would we want our GP to know? What would we want our family to know? So advanced care planning is just simply thinking of what is important to you, documenting it and sharing it. So I should keep remembering to read my slides, sorry. So yeah, it's a record of your wishes and it lets your voice be heard, and it is for everybody. It's for me, I've got one. It's for anybody 18 and over. Advanced care planning avoids conversations during your crisis, not avoids, it, because you still need conversations during your crisis, but it avoids emergency decisions being made at crisis point. So if you have thought about lots of decisions and you've documented them, people know what your wishes are and they don't have that real kind of panic about what would mum want or dad want or my brother want or my son want. So let's chat about what our wishes are and let's document them. Department of Health have really good resources online. So if you Google Advanced Care Plan, Department of Health, you'll get for now and for the future is the document. And there is an e-learning module, which I think is really good. It's for public and professionals. And it just takes you through what advanced care planning is and how to do it. I have some information there which might be helpful as well. There's 4 pillars within advanced care planning, and they are legal, personal, clinical and financial, which is the one I always forget. So there's 4 elements that we should consider. The Department of Health have this good diagram, which I think is really helpful to kind of bring certain parts of those to our head to think what we should be planning for. You don't have to do all of these things. You can do 1, you can do 2, or if you're like me and you're a bit OCD, you can do all of it. But it's just thinking what you want to put into place and what would help your family and your relatives know if you weren't able to make those plans in the future. An advanced care plan only comes into place when you can no longer participate in those discussions, either from a communication point of view or a thinking processes point of view. While you can still make your own decisions, of course you make your own decisions, so it's only at that point that it's needed. An advanced care plan is not legally binding, but you can make decision-making legally binding by an advanced directive, but that's just something to say. I know that Danny have some resources online. Macmillan have a really good booklet, which is Your Life, Your Choices. I was going to say My Life, My Choices. And then every NHS trust has a record of your wishes document. The record of my wishes, I think, is a good starting point, but I have to say I don't feel it's full enough to truly have a very detailed advanced care plan. So your advanced care plan can just be a written or typed document. It doesn't have to be a structured document. Does that kind of make sense? It's just recording what's important to you and recording the things that you have in place already, maybe like power of attorney or your will, your finances, and some about your medical decision making too. Any questions about that so far? Yeah. No, so an advanced care plan is a personal document. It can be and should be shared with your GP, but they don't need to sign it. The advanced directive would need a medical person then to overlook those decisions and make sure you're making informed decisions. But an actual advanced care plan, you bring to your GP. He or she might want to discuss it with you. They upload it onto Encompass, onto the computer system, and then it's a live document. It can be changed, so it's not you've written it and that's set in stone. It's a document which should be changed as things in your life change and updated. But you keep a copy at home and you give your GP or medical team a copy. But you should also have a copy yourself. And your loved ones obviously should know where that is as well. So I suppose that I'll not focus on that. It's just to say that we're trying really hard in the unit to have this conversation with everybody. So when somebody comes in, just like I've done to you, I'll say, do you know what advanced care planning is? And I'll tell them a little bit about it. We have booklets, we have ACP champions, which I'm one of, to champion getting the word out there that this can be helpful for family members and relieve that pressure when a crisis happens, that those conversations have already happened and those processes are in place as well. Part of my role within advanced care planning is then discussing with people, if it was needed in the future, would you want a feeding tube or would you not want a feeding tube? And how might you want that feeding tube used? So feeding tubes don't have to be used for nutrition. They can sometimes just be used for hydration and medication. And when people want more information about feeding tubes, my role is to give them that information. So feeding tubes don't stop you eating and drinking. That's a very common myth. So if you were to have a feeding tube in the future, you can still eat and drink. The feeding tube is simply used to give additional nutrition, additional hydration, and to medicate you more easily than if swallowing is becoming a problem. Again, probably time-wise, I'll not maybe focus on this, but if anybody wants any information about feeding tubes, I have some demo tubes, and I can certainly give information about what that might look like and the considerations. To get a feeding tube placed should be an informed decision and should be many conversations before that decision is made. When feeding tubes are needed, they're better to be placed early when the person is well and medically fit for that procedure, because it is a procedure, it comes with risks and it comes with careful decision making and thinking to the future. So the decision about feeding is part of the advanced care planning conversations that I would have with the people that I work with Huntington's. But you can see me at the end. I can't remember. So the other couple of thoughts that I had, if we're thinking of eating well to feel well, vitamin D. So vitamin D supplementation, thinking about coming into the autumn and the winter, thinking about us being outside less and less sunlight. So consider if you're on vitamin D and if not taking a vitamin D supplement, be careful of the dosing. Department of Health guidance would be 10 micrograms or 400 milligrams. Yeah, 5. I'm not sure if I did that conversion right, actually. I'll have to check. 10 micrograms. I've confused myself now. Anyway, so see me after. It's in my booklet. So just consider vitamin D, but also alongside that, consider your calcium intake. So if we're thinking of bone health and falls prevention, keeping our bones strong is really important. So consider taking calcium and vitamin D. We do often test people's vitamin D blood levels in our unit. And I would say 90% of the time, they're very low. So just consider that as well. And yeah, I mean, certainly my awareness of the work by Danny has massively improved in the last couple of days. So keep using those support networks within the NHS and the private sector as well. And I'm happy to answer any questions and come and chat later. I'm more than happy to spend the afternoon chatting. So thank you very much, everybody.